If you're a potter, you definitely know the feeling. You walk into a supply store, you're browsing online, and you are just hit with a wall of tools. Which ones do you actually need? Which ones are just a waste of money? Well, today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We've got an expert's guide to building the perfect toolkit, and we're going to start with one of the biggest headaches potters deal with.
Oh yeah, we've all been there. You spend hours, maybe even days on a beautiful piece, only to pull it from the kiln and see a warped tray or a corner that's cracked wide open. It is so frustrating, right? And a lot of the time, it comes right down to the tools you're using. And that's where our expert for this explainer, ceramicist Ed Shears, comes in. He argues that getting slab work right really boils down to these three things. And what you're going to find out is that having the right tools doesn't always mean having the most expensive ones.
Yeah, this is the trap we all fall into. We think that to get those professional-looking results, we need to spend a ton of money. It makes us either overspend like crazy or feel like we can't even get started. But Ed Shears, he offers a much smarter way to think about this.
And that really gets to the heart of the problem for so many of us artists. You want those clean, consistent, professional-looking pieces, right? But the cost of all that specialized gear can be, well, it can be staggering. So how do you bridge that gap?
The answer is this brilliant philosophy. This isn't about being cheap, not at all. It's about being strategic. It's about knowing exactly where your money will have the biggest possible impact on your work, and when a little bit of creativity will work just as well, or, maybe even better.
Okay, so let's start with the first half of that equation, investing smart. According to Ed, if you're serious about slab building, there is one piece of equipment where spending the money is absolutely 100% worth it. So here it is, the big showdown. The professional slab roller versus the humble wooden rolling pin. One is a major studio investment. The other is probably sitting in your kitchen drawer right now. But do they really do the same job?
Now, what's really cool about this is the engineering behind it. Ed specifically recommends the North Star roller because of features just like these. Aircraft-grade aluminum, that means no warping, ever. That gear ratio, it means you're not fighting with the clay. It's a smooth, easy roll every single time. See, this isn't just about making things easier. It's about getting consistency and taking away all those little variables that can ruin a piece.
But look, that's not to say the rolling pin doesn't have its place. Ed is super clear that he's made hundreds of pieces with one. If you're just starting out, or you're working on smaller things like handles or some test tiles, a good heavy wooden rolling pin is a totally functional and obviously a very budget-friendly choice.
But here it is, the final word from the expert himself. When you need to make large, perfectly even slabs, the rolling pin just can't compete. The takeaway is crucial. If slab building is a core part of your work, the slab roller is the one big investment that will pay for itself 10 times over in saved time, frustration, and failed pieces.
Okay, so we've covered the big investment. Now let's get to the really fun part, improvising freely. This is where you can save a ton of money just by looking at everyday objects in a totally new light.
First up, the tool you need for smoothing and compressing your slabs to prevent those pesky cracks. The standard choice is a flexible metal rib. But the clever substitute? Well, you probably have one in your wallet right now. It's an old credit card.
A new metal rib is going to set you back about $12. I mean, it's not a fortune, but it adds up, right? And the credit card? It's totally free. Ed actually keeps a whole collection of old gift cards and credit cards because they have different amounts of flex for different curves and seams. And this is just a perfect illustration of the whole improvising idea. It's just as functional, but it costs you literally nothing. Okay, next up, creating those perfect 45-degree angles to join your slabs together. You can go out and buy a specialized beveling tool for this, or you could just use the tools you were born with.
Ed admits that, yeah, the tool works great, but when he's really in the zone and working fast, he just pinches and rolls the edge with his thumb and finger. It's quicker, it's more intuitive, and as he points out, they're a lot harder to lose during a studio cleanup.
Our final showdown is one of my favorites because the DIY version here is actually better than most of the things you can buy in a store. You know how loose wire can stretch and distort your perfect slab when you try to lift it? Well, a homemade tension wire solves that problem completely.
And just look how simple this is. Seriously, just grab 2 sticks, an old high-E guitar string, which is super strong, and some good packaging tape. With that, you can create a tool that gives you a much cleaner cut and way more control than those floppy wires they sell in stores. And this quote, it just nails the entire philosophy of improvisation, doesn't it? The goal isn't to be fancy. The goal is to have a tool that does its job perfectly. It's all about functionality over everything else. So, how do we put this all together? Let's try to summarize this whole approach into a simple, practical framework that you can use to build your own perfect toolkit.
Here it is, laid out plain and simple. For making those big slabs, you invest in the roller. Why? For that unbeatable consistency. But for smoothing, beveling, and cutting, you improvise. You use a credit card, your fingers, a DIY wire. Why? Because they're free, fast, and in some cases give you even better control. It's a really simple, powerful way to think about every single tool you bring into your studio.
So, the big takeaway here is really simple. What makes you a great potter isn't the price tags on your tools. It's about understanding the process, knowing what you need to accomplish, and being smart and creative about how you get there.
This whole framework really just empowers you to make smarter choices. So, I'll leave you at this question. What's the next step for your studio? Are you going to start saving up for that one game-changing investment? Or are you going to go raid your wallet for old gift cards and try a new technique tonight?